Okay, welcome to IBiokaare Classes. So today we are going to do the first chapter and we are going to study about the NCERT level and we are dealing with this particular chapter is named for NEET exam and also for board exam, but mostly we are dealing with NEET exam. So let's start with the first chapter that is called as living world. So first thing we should know what is the meaning of life. What do you mean by life? So under the section of life, we are going to learn the definition of life. And also we are going to learn about the properties of living organism. Got it? So let's move. What do you mean by life? Let's move to the definition of life. So normally the definition of life means, suppose for example, life is made up of organic and inorganic materials or chemicals. Got it? So these are the chemical compounds which are very unique in nature. Got it? So these are the chemical compounds. So life is normally made up of chemicals and the chemicals may be organic. The chemicals may be organic or it may be inorganic. So both organic and inorganic compounds, they form the chemicals. So normally what happens when the substances are made up of chemicals, they undergo reaction and that is called as biochemical reaction. Normally we know that if chemicals are present, then biochemical reaction takes place. So when biochemical reaction takes place, what happens? Now we find the different products of the chemicals. Either the products may be of same types, or it may be of different types. And these products also gives chain of reaction to give different new products or of same product. So this nature is called as self-replicating. Self-replicating. Got it? Producing the same type of product with multiple fission type. And also they regulate. Also they are called as what? Self-regulating. Self-regulating. Got it? It is also called as what? Now self-regulating. Clear till this much? So life is a complex organization of chemical molecules. Yes, it is true. And these chemical molecules undergo chemical reaction. Yes, it is true. And this chemical reaction gives out the products which are of self-replicating and they can evolve and also they can regulate themselves, the systems. And the most important factor is that these chemicals can be changed by external stimuli. So this external stimuli will help in changing the chemicals. So any environmental effect comes, any environmental stimuli takes place, then we find there is a change in the chemicals and change in the self-regulating system and change in the self-replicating system. Got it? So overall this is totally called as what? Now life. So we came to know the basic form of life, and this basic form of life is what? It is made up of complex organisms or molecules. Yes, it is true. And these molecules or chemicals undergo chemical reactions. Yes, it's true. And after chemical reaction, they produce the product out products which are of self-replicating, in nature. And as a whole, they regulate the system. They totally regulate the system. And these chemicals are also controlled by external factors. So these external factors, when they act on it, it may be light, it may be temperature, it may be wind, it may be chemicals, whatever may be, any agents. So these, according to those chemicals, the reaction also changes. And this change of reactions helps in producing new products. And this total self-regulating system is called as what? Now life. So life is a mass of chemicals having regulation, replications, and also they are controlled by external factors. They also change according to external factors. Okay. Now let's move into the next point, that is called the second point, that is called as the properties of life. Let's see what do you mean about the properties of life. So these properties of living organism contains 5 basic factors. So what are the 5 basic? One is called as the growth. Yes. One is called as the reproduction. One is called as the metabolism. One is called as cell organization. Another one is called as consciousness. Got it? So these are the 5 basic properties of all living organisms. Other factors are present, entropy present, entropy present. All other factors we are going to be only the 5 factors. Got it? So let's start one by one. First, we should know what is the meaning of growth. So normally growth means, for example, suppose we are taking a cell, say the single cell. So this single cell, for example, same cell. This single cell, they divide to produce 2 cells. by the process of cell division. And they again divide to produce cells. And by the nature of the cell division, and this nature of cell division, this type of cell division is called as what? Mitosis. So by mitosis, mass of cells are produced, group of cells are produced. So when the cell group of cells are produced, here what happens? We find the mass increases. The mass what? Increases. And also we find what? Now we find the number increases. We find the number also increases. We find the mass increases and the number increases. So this increase in number increases mass by cell division is called as what? Growth. Got it? So growth normally means increase in mass, increase in number of cells. And by what? Now by cell division. Yes. But let's consider about plant. Suppose we are taking a plant having root system and shoot system. But what happens now? We find that at the tip and the subtip of root, we find special cells are present. And these are called as meristems. Got it? These are called as what? Meristems. Apical meristems, and in root we find subapical meristems. So these are called as what? Meristems. And these meristems contains the power of division. This meristem contains the power of division. So as that contains the power of division and the very young cells, they can repeatedly go on dividing. So by repeatedly dividing, what happens? The plant growth is throughout the lifespan. So plant can grow throughout the lifespan because they contain special type of cells called as what? Meristems. And these meristems contains the power of maximum divisions, and for which plant growth is also unlimited growth. Got it? Clear? Due to the presence of meristems. But whereas animals don't have meristems. So as animals don't have meristems, at certain stage, the cell becomes permanent. At certain stage, the cell becomes permanent. Cell becomes mature. So when the cell becomes mature, there is no power of division. So in plants, in animals, at certain age, we find the division is, the growth is restricted or arrested. But in some cases, like cell repair, cell healing, suppose that cell won't takes place, then again in that case what happens? Cell division takes place to heal up the wound. So in that are the particular factors where cell division is regained in plants only when wound takes place, only for repair, cell repair and healing stage, the animal cells return back for divisions. Got it clear? Now, normally in growth what happens? Now, for example, inside the cell, the cytoplasm increases. So normally, in the growth of organism, living organism, what happens? The inside the cytoplasm increases. So when the cytoplasm inside increases, the cytoplasm or the protoplasm or the cell organelles, the number of cell organelles, they all increase. They all increase. So in living organism, the cell is from within, inside. So cell is from inside. Got it? But let's talk about a mountain. Suppose we are taking a mountain present. So this is a mountain present. But in the mountain, what happens? We find there is accumulation of materials outside the mountains. So we find there is also increase in mass and number of molecules outside the mountain, and mountain is a non-living structure. So here in what have been non-living objects, what happened? Now the growth is from outside. The growth is from what? Outside. The growth is from outside. This is from non-living structures. So as the growth is from outside in non-living structure, but we find growth is also taking place in non-living organisms, non-living objects. So here we consider that growth is not a defining property. Why? Growth is found in both in living and non-living objects, for which it is not a defining property. So we came to know that growth is found in both living and non-living. In living, we find the growth is from inside, and from non-living, we find the growth is from outside. But both living and non-living undergo growth, for which growth is not considered as a defining property. Because defining property means Only the living organism contains that factor, not the non-living organism. Clear? Okay, now move on the second factor, that is called as reproduction. So what do you mean by reproduction? Let's talk about reproduction. Suppose I'm taking a cell. This cell now undergoes cell division to produce the daughter cells. Got it? So this is the parent cell I'm taking place. This is the parent cell. And these are the daughter cells present. And this is the daughter cells. Got it? So this is the parent cell present and this is the daughter cell. So this number increased by cell division, mitosis. So these daughter cells, they contain all the same features with the parent cells. So this daughter cell contains all the same features with the parent cells. They contains the same features or characters. So that means the parent cell gives rise to the daughter cells having same type. It is of same type. So this same type is called as what? A progeny. The same type is called as what? A progeny. Got it clear? So this progeny matlab, it is the output of parent cell by cell division, and this process is called as reproductions. And normally this is a unicellular organism. So in a unicellular organism we find cell division is the only process which helps not only reproduction and also growth. So in unicellular organisms, we find what? Now growth and reproduction. Growth and reproduction, they both are same. They both are controlled by cell division. They are same. But when we talk about multicellular organism, in multicellular organism, what happens? In multicellular organisms. So in multicellular organism, what happens? The two factors are present. One is called as asexual reproduction. Another one is called as sexual reproduction. So what do you mean by asexual reproduction and what do you mean by sexual reproduction? So asexual reproduction is reproduction without the use of gametes. Reproduction without the use of gametes. Got it? So reproduction without the use of gametes is called as asexual reproduction. And what is sexual reproduction? Reproduction with the use of gametes. With the use of male and female gamete. With the use of male and female gamete. With the use of male and female gametes. Got it clear? So this is about the multicellular organism. So in also multicellular organism, we contains reproduction to produce the parent, to produce the progeny of the offsprings. And these progeny offsprings are very alike, same features with their parents. And it is of two types, either of asexual reproduction where no gametes are involved and single parents are involved. And in sexual reproduction, we find what? Gametes are involved, male and female gametes are involved. Okay, got it. But what happens in reproduction? We find a factor in some organism like mules, like worker bee, like infertile humans, where we find no reproduction. No reproduction takes place in mules, worker bee and infertile human. So your reproduction is a defining property, yes, as it is found in living organism, it is not found in non-living organism, but partially it is called as the defining property. It is partial in process. It is not a complete defining property because some living organisms are unable to reproduce, and as they are unable to reproduce, matlab, it is not a complete form of defining properties. So this is all about your reproduction. Now let's talk the third point, that is called as metabolism. So what is metabolism? So metabolism normally means the sum of anabolism plus catabolism. Anabolism and catabolism. So anabolism means synthesis. Synthesis of any product like photosynthesis. It produces the food. Catabolism means breakdown. Matlab respiration, where we break down the carbohydrate into small molecules of carbon dioxide, water, or ATP, so and so. So this total reaction, this total biochemical reaction within the cell is called as what? Metabolism. So inside the cell, in the cell, we find anabolism and we find catabolism. So the sum total of biochemical reaction present within the cell is called as what? The metabolism. Is called as what? The metabolism. Got it? So metabolism is that particular process where we find what? That all the biochemical reaction taking place within a cell. And this process is only found in living organisms. It is found in living organisms. So this process is only found in living organisms. Got it? So it is a defining property. Yes, it is a defining property of all living organisms. And we find them in vitro metabolism. In vitro, we can culture a cell outside the human body or inside the test tube. So there also metabolism do takes place. So metabolism is a combination of anabolic catabolism, and it is an actual biochemical process, the sum total biochemical process taking place, which is only restricted in living organisms. So it is called as the defining property. Got it? So we have completed, that is growth. We have completed reproduction, and also we have completed metabolism. And all these three we find this growth is not a defining property. This one is partially defining property, and this is the complete defining property. Now let's move on to the next point, that is called cellular organization. Yes, all living organisms are made up of cell. All living organisms are made of cell. Because cell gives rise to, group of cells gives rise to tissue. Means mass of cell gives rise to tissue. And this tissue gives rise to organ. And this organ gives rise to organ system. This rise to organ system. And this organ system gives rise to organism. This gives to organism. Got it clear? So here we came to know that cell is the basic unit of life. Yes, cell is the basic unit of life. So all living organisms are made up of cell. A cell is the building blocks of life. It is also called as the building blocks of life. Because without cell, life is impossible. The formation of life is impossible. So it is, as it is restricted in living organism, only living organism is made up of cell, and cell converts to tissue, to organ and organ system, which gives rise to organism. And these organism as a unit forms life, having complex molecules of chemicals, which undergo biochemical reactions to produce replicating substances, self-regulating substances, got it, etc., etc. So as cell is only present in living organism, so it is a defining property. It is the best defining property of all living organisms. And all living organisms can is cell as the structural and the functional unit also is sometimes called that. And the last factor we are going to deal, that is called as consciousness. Conscious means the organism having the power to sense. So what to sense? Means to receive the stimuli, yes, and respond to the stimuli. So normally in living organism, what we find for living organism, we find special receptor cells are present. Special receptors are present for cells. And these receptors are present in modified form of a system that is called as nervous system. So we have in living organisms a special system that is called as nervous system, where the nervous system receives the stimuli, in the case of brain, and accordingly it decodes the stimuli and accordingly it responds. So this nature of receiving stimuli and respond is called as sense. And the sense is only possible having special type of receptor cells, or we have a modified form of nervous system. In some simple organisms or single organisms, we find receptor cells are present, cell signals are present, where we can receive the external stimuli and respond accordingly. So it is the sense of the environment. Normally, this cellular organization, this consciousness is the environmental sense. And here the organism responds according to the given stimuli, respective stimuli. Where the organism is aware with the surrounding. Any change taking place in the external environment, is received by the nervous system or by the organism in the form of stimuli. And these stimuli respond accordingly. And this response. And this total nature is called sense. So sense changes according to the change in the environment. And It is only found in living organisms, for which it is called as the defining properties of all living organisms. Yes, it is the goal defining properties of all. But let's talk about human. In human, we find what? A human has self-consciousness. Means human can sense which one is bad. Suppose human. So this human can sense which one is bad, which one is good, how to behave, how to react, what is the nature of behavior. So human contains the control of sense. Human can control the stimuli and respond accordingly. So only humans are self-consciousness in nature. So humans are normally the self-consciousness in nature. And this is the most and perfect defining properties of all living organisms. What? Clear? So we have completed the first part of the living system or the living organism. That is what is life. So in the this section we studied about the definition of life, the properties of life. So what is the definition of life? It is the complex organism of molecules, means these are the chemicals present. And as the chemicals are present, got it? So these chemicals are present and these chemicals undergo reactions. By also they are changed with the external stimuli, and the chemical reactions are called as biochemical reaction to produce small self-replicating substances which can regulate accordingly, and they contain the self-regulating systems. Got it? And then we move into the properties of living organism. We find growth, we find reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization, and consciousness. And growth, as we all know, is the increase in number of mass and cells, which is controlled by cell division. Plants contain meristem for which they divide throughout the lifespan. Animals do not have meristems, but the division is restricted at certain age. But animals can repair the cells, heal the wound. At that time, cell division do takes place. And normally in living organism, the growth is from inside, as in the form of cytoplasm or protoplasm increase. But growth is also found to be present in non-living organisms. That is accumulation of substances from outside. So it is found in non-living organism. So as this property is present in both living and non-living, it is not as a defining property. Then we move on to reproduction. In reproduction, what we find? Cell division takes place, where the parent cell gives rise to the progeny. Progeny are the daughter cells having same features with the parent cells. So production of progeny, which are similar to the parents. And in unicellular organism, growth and reproduction are same and controlled by cell division. Whereas in multicellular organism, we find asexual and sexual reproduction present. In asexual reproduction, reproduction without the use of gamete. In sexual reproduction, with the use of gametes. And it is mostly restricted to multicellular organism. Whereas in some condition, we find no reproduction takes place, like in the case of mules, in the case of infertile humans, or in the case of water bee, we don't find any what? We don't find any type of reproduction. So reproduction is a defining property, but not is a true defining property. It is a partial defining properties. Then move to metabolism. It is the sum total of chemical reaction. The chemical reaction in two forms: synthesis and a breakdown. Synthesis is called as anabolism, breakdown is called as catabolism. So which takes place within the cell, and the total chemical reaction taking place within the cell is called as metabolism. And this metabolism helps in formation of metabolic activities. And later we find the living organism. The metabolism do takes place, whereas the living organism don't have the metabolism process. So metabolism is a defining property. Got it clear? And also we find when we take a cell outside the body and culture inside the test tube, they also find the metabolism takes place. And cellular organism, where cell is the basic unit of life, a cell are made up of tissues, convert to organ system, and to organism. So cell is only restricted in living organism. So living organism made up of cell, which is the basic unit of life. So cell is the defining properties of all living organism. And at last we are dealing with, that is called as what? Consciousness. Consciousness is the sense to the environment. Sense means stimuli respond. Whatever stimuli comes from the environment is responded accordingly, and this nature is called as sense, which is a sole property of living organism. And the sense is due to the presence of receptors present on the cell, or they have a modified nervous systems, and this nervous system receive the stimuli and respond accordingly. This total nature is called as the sense. So means these organisms contains the power of consciousness to sense the environment. So they are aware of the environment. If the environment changes, they also changes accordingly, and this is the defining property. But consciousness in human is little modified because human has self-consciousness, because human can sense the bad, sense the good, behave accordingly, and also react according to different sense properly. So this is all about the first part of the living organism, that is what is life and the properties of living organism, or properties of living organism. So we have completed the first part. Now we are going to complete in the next video. I'll give the lecture of the second part, and the second part deals with, that is the biodiversity, the taxonomy, and classification of nature. Okay. Thank you. All the best.